So here we will look into very various topic. India yearbook is very important. So it is important for our upcoming examination. Now let's get back to the topics. Like first we need to check out about the best practices to combat the pandemic. Then land and people, national symbols, polity, defense, law and justice, India and the world, basic economic data, finance, corporate affairs, commerce, industry, labor skills, skill development and employment, health and family welfare, education, welfare, agriculture, food, civil supplies and consumer affairs, planning, rural development, housing and urban affairs, transport, energy, water resources, environment, communication and information technology, mass communication, culture and tourism, scientific and technological developments, youth affairs and sports, states and UTs, diary of national events, important amendments of the constitution. Now, if we check about the best practices to combat the pandemic, so it is the first topic. So, what all are the introduction? It talks about that ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has turned the world upside down. Everything has been impacted. The virus has infected and killed millions of people around the world. Pandemic has brought the modern world to standstill, made us realize the unpredictability of life. However, the government made great strides to control the spread of viruses. Now, the following brief deals with the important best practices followed by government in finding and overcoming the virus. Now, what all are the efforts that has made by different ministries and department in this regard? Now, Supreme Court, Election Commission, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Commerce and Ministry of Civil Aviation, Ministry of Electronics and Technology, a promotion of industry and internal trade, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Ministry of Post, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So these are some important ministries which has taken some efforts. Now what all are the challenges that has faced by the Supreme Court, like lack of digital literacy, infrastructural issues, privacy and safety issues, also delay in transmission of order. So Supreme Court that issue faced is disrupting of normalcy on its forever evolving journey of protecting the rights of citizenry. Okay, now video app, that Supreme Court proceeding through video conferencing using the video app in prominent cases. Video conferencing, that is hearing of cases, was started through video conferencing. Foster was formally launched by Chief Justice of India along with Computerization Committee in 2022 to resolve issue related with the delay in release of prisoners. Others like e-courts, online hearing via video conferencing, and the standards operating procedure for urgent hearing, live streaming and e-filing. Now, Election Commission of India, that is issue faced like safety of vote, voter security, fairness of such election, whether it is a general election of legislative assemblies. Consider it Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Assam, West Bengal, Puducherry were conducted during pandemic. So DM Act, that is, it is a duty of commission under the Disaster Management Act, that is to extend and support as per legal institutional framework to steer elections even during unprecedented pandemic. What is the mandate behavior? No road show, physical yatra, pad yatra and procession. Physical voting, as far as practical, the distribution of voting material was to be organized in a decentralized manner, and the physical handling of EVM VVPAT was strictly to be while wearing gloves, not without gloves. And systematic voter education for an electoral participation program, like Election Commission of India improved the systematic voter education for electoral participation program. That means it allows digital confirmation of voter registration. And if we talk about Ministry of Finance, that has emergency credit line guarantee scheme, like the emergency credit line guarantee scheme was launched in 2020, and it is a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan to support eligible micro, small, and medium enterprises and the business enterprises in meeting their operational liabilities and restarting their businesses in context of the disruption caused by the pandemic. Now, what all are the loan guarantee scheme for COVID affected sectors that has launched in 2021 to providing credit guarantee coverage to lending institutions for loans to project under healthcare sector. Now, credit guarantee scheme for microfinance institution, like the credit guarantee scheme for microfinance institution was launched in 2021 to support the economic during the pandemic to benefit the smallest of borrowers of microfinance institution for providing 75% guarantee coverage through National Credit Guarantee Trustee Companies Limited. Now, the special liquidity facility, that is within a view of augmenting lending resource during pandemic, a front-loaded special liquidity facility was provided by RBI to NABARD for on lending to cooperative banks, regional rural banks, and smaller non-banking finance companies, microfinance institutions. Now, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Package. It was launched by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in through New India Assurance Company Limited, and 50 lakh insurance per coverage has been provided to 2020, matlab 22 lakh people approximately. Healthcare provide on loss due to disease and accidental death on account of COVID related duty. Now we have a Corona Coverage policy. That means it was a standard product to address the basic health insurance needs for public, with health insurance coverage ranging from 50,000 to 5 lakhs. So now we have another thing, that is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. That means COVID containment and management. Owing to government strategy of test, track, treat, vaccinate, and COVID appropriate behavior, India has been able to limit its cases and deaths, which is one of the lowest in the world as compared to similar affected countries. What all are the national policies, like National COVID 19 vaccination program? The large vaccination program, more than 220 crore doses has been administered across the country. Now, what all are the Ministry of Commerce, like the Directorate General of Foreign Affairs extended the foreign trade policy 2025 to 20. Now, foreign trade policy are the set of guidelines and instruction which are established by Directorate General of Foreign Trade, that is related to import and export of goods in India. It is announced every 5 years. Ministry of Civil Aviation, that is Vande Bharat Mission. It was aimed at repatriation of Indian nationals by air, sea, and land routes. The Vande Bharat Mission also enable individuals of various nationalities stuck in India and to return to their respective homelands. The landmark mission was carried out by here Ministry of Commerce, that is the Director General of Foreign Trade, extended the foreign trade policy. Now, foreign trade policy are the set of guidelines and instruction which are established by Director General of Foreign Trade, that is related to import export goods in India. It is announced every 5 years. And if we talk about Ministry of Civil Aviation, Vande Bharat mission has been done, and it aimed to repatriate of Indian nationals by air, sea, and land route. The Vande Bharat mission also enable individuals of various nationalities stuck in India to return to their respective homeland. The landmark mission was carried out by respective support and cooperation of Ministry of External Affairs, Indian missions abroad, Ministry of Home Affairs, and the state governments, the Air India Group, Air India and Air India Express, which were backbone of the Vande Bharat mission, while the private Indian carriers like Go Air, Indigo, SpiceJet, Vistara as active participants in this. Now if we talk about assistance to other countries like munition security and growth of for all the regions, Saga was India's initiative to deliver humanitarian assistance and disaster relief and COVID related assistance to the countries in the Indian Ocean region. And over three phases, I saw the deployment, deployment of Indian naval ship Kesari to deliver assistance to maritime neighbors like Maldives, Mauritius, Madagascar, Comoros, and Seychelles. Now, if we talk about Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, that is Arogya Setu app, that is to identify, monitoring, and mitigating the spread of virus. A scheme for accelerating startups for utilizing post-COVID technology, that is to support electronics, hardware, ICT based tech entrepreneurial initiative for of startup for developing and repurposing technology tool system solution to respond to the COVID 19 scenario emerging in the near horizon. E-hospital, that is aimed to implementation of hospital management information system for internal processes and workflows of the hospitals. CDEC, that is telemedicine solution, that is basically a patient to doctor teleconsultation system which is operational since April 2020 for video based clinically consultation between doctors and in the hospital and the patients in the confines to their home. If we talk about teleconsultation software for TRI services, we have Sehat. Like it is web-based telemedicine technology with inbuilt video conferencing for personnel and their dependents serving in the three service that is of Armed Force of India. If we talk about Umang, it is integrated with various health related services like Cowin, e-Rakt Kosh, Pharma Sahi Dham, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, thus providing convenience to citizens in availing health services during COVID-19 pandemic. Now, if we talk about DigiLocker, that has happened, that is storage and production of contactless document and IDs of the citizens and authenticity, it is validated by the agency. If we talk about Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, that is medical oxygen management and support. So Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade with Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization facilitated steps to enhance the availability of liquid oxygen as well as storage capacity of liquid medical oxygen in the hospitals and gaseous oxygens in the cylinders. If we talk about domestic manufacturing, that has been promoted leveraging private and public sector technologies, India become a producer and net exporter of PPE kits. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs launched affordable rental housing complexes as a sub-scheme under Pradhan Mantri PMAU in order to identify living in the urban migrants at affordable costs near their workplaces. If we talk about Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, that is ministry launched the affordable and rental housing complexes as a sub-scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. So a flagship mission, it is basically to of the government of India that is being implemented by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. On June 25th, 2015, the mission addresses urban housing storage among the AWS, LIG and MIG category, including the slum dwellers, by ensuring the Pakka house to eligible urban households. Also, the Department of Posts like Road Transport Network was a dedicated nationwide network for shipment of essential items. If we talk about parcel networks, that is to create reliability and greater control over movement of parcels, a new and dedicated all India mail and parcel road transport network was operationalized. If we talk about Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, that is AIR, and its 46 RNU remained on the front line creating awareness about COVID-19 pandemic, urging citizens to follow COVID. So if we talk about Corona Jagrukta series was launched in which eminent doctors were answers listeners' queries. Similar programs were mounted on DD from time to time to create awareness about the infection and later about the safety of the vaccination. Also, initiatives like COVID Pick Charcha, COVID Gurukul, and Zara Sochiye were undertaken on social, digital media, print, electronic, and social media were used in a tandem consent disseminated through multiple channels across national and state agencies, both government and through development partners. So, if we talk about, we have another topic that is the land and people. So, India being one of the oldest and greatest civilization of the world, it is also melting pot of culture. Its culture and socio-economies is shaped by its diverse geographical features. It covers 32 lakhs 87,263 square kilometer ranging from snow-capped Himalayas in the north and the sun-drenched coastal villages to the south and the humid tropical forest in the southwest coast from the fertile Brahmaputra Valley on its east to the Thar deserts in the west. So, India has everything. India is the seventh largest country in the world and ranks second in the population, bounded by Great Himalayas in the north. It stretches southward, and the Tropic of Cancer tapers off into the Indian Ocean between Bay of Bengal on the east and Arabian Sea on the west. So if we talk about longitude and latitude, that is the mainland extend between latitude of 8 degree 4 and 37 degree 6 north, and longitude that is 68 degree 7 and 97 degree 25 east. Distance from north to south is 3214 kilometer between the extreme latitude and about 2 2933 kilometer from east to west between the extreme longitude. So if we talk about land frontier, that is about 15,200 kilometers, and the total length of the coastline in the mainland Lakshadweep Islands and the Andaman Nicobar Islands is 7,500 and 16 kilometer, 16.6 kilometer. If we talk about Lakshadweep Islands and the Andaman Nicobar Islands. So divided into 6 zones, that is mainly north, south, east, west, central, northeast zone, and it has 28 states and 8 union territories currently. Bordering countries like we have Afghanistan, Pakistan to the northwest, China, Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar to the far east, and Bangladesh to the east. So Sri Lanka is separate from India by a narrow channel of sea that is formed by the Park Strait and the Gulf of Mannar. So if we talk about physical feature, that is the mainland comprises 4 regions like namely the Great Mountain Zone, plains of Ganges and the Indus, the desert region and the southern peninsula. The Himalayas comprises 3 almost parallel ranges interspread with large plateaus and valleys, some of which are like Kashmir. Kullu valleys are fertile and scenic view, and it has scenic beauty. Now, if we talk about home to some of the highest peaks in the world, like the high altitude allow travel only through a few passes, like notably we have Jalepla, Nathula on the mainland into Tibetan trade route, through the Chumbi Valley, northeast of Darjeeling, Shipkila, and Satluj Valley, northeast to the Kalpa, that is Kinnor. Now, the mountain wall extend over a distance of about 2,400 kilometers with a varying depth of 240 to 320 kilometers in the east between the India and Myanmar, and the India and the Bangladesh hill ranges are much lower. Garo, Khasi, Jaintia and Naga hills running almost east to west, joining the chain of Mizo and Rakhine hills during running north to south. If you talk about plains, that is the plains of Gangas and the Indus, about 2,400 kilometers and 240 and 320 kilometers broad, that are formed by basins of three distinct river systems, now the Indus and the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. They are one of the world's greatest stretch of flat alluvium and also one of the most densely populated areas. If we talk about desert region, like the Great Desert extended from the edge of the Run of Kutch beyond the Luni River northward, and the whole of the Rajasthan Sindh frontier runs through this. Now the Little Desert extends from the Luni between Jaisalmer and Jodhpur up to the northwest. Between the Great and the Little Deserts lies a barren zone consisting of rocky land cut up by limestone ridges. If we talk about peninsular plateau, that is marked from it is marked off from the plains of Ganges and Indus by mountains and hilly ranges. Prominent among these are Aravallis, Vindhya, Satpura. Just a minute. Okay, Aravalli, Vindhya, Satpura, Mekila, Ajanta. It is flanked on the side, flank on the uh, uh, it is flanked on the one side by Eastern Ghats, where average elevation is about 610 meters, and on the other, Western Ghats were generally from 915 to 1220 meters, rising in places to over 2,440 meters. Between the Western Ghats and Arabian Sea, that is, lies a narrow coastal strip. So the southern point of the plateau is formed by Nilgiri Hills, where the eastern and western Ghats meet. Now the Cardamom Hills lying beyond may be regarded as continuation of the western Ghats. Geological structural, that is, geological regions broadly follows the physical features and are also grouped into three regions. Now the Himalayas and their associated group of mountains, and the Indo-Gangetic Plain and the Peninsular Shield. Now the present configuration of India is attributed to the collision of Indian plate with the Eurasian plate around 4 to 5 crores year ago. If we talk about collision and later subduction of the Indian plate, that has resulted in the formulation of Himalayan mountain chain in the world. Now in the south of the Himalayas there are four land basins known as Indo-Gangetic plains. These plains are youngest in age, highly fertile in nature, mainly consisting of alluvium alluvium deposits by river draining from Himalayas and the peninsular region. Now these are great alluvial tracts that separate Himalayas to in the north from the peninsula in the south. Now the peninsular region, that is shaped like an inverted triangle and is relatively stable and consisting of rock units of earliest periods. Now the rest is being covered by Gondwana supergroup igneous metamorphic and Deccan Trap formation. We talk about river system. We have Himalayan, Deccan River, coastal rivers, and rivers of inland drainage basin. Now the Himalayas river, that has been formed by melting snow and glaciers. It continuously flows throughout the year. During monsoon, the Himalayas receive very heavy rainfall during the swelling in rivers and frequent floods. Now, the main Himalayan river system are those of the Indus and Ganga Brahmaputra Meghna system. Now, the Ganga Brahmaputra Meghna system principal basins are those of the Bhagirathi and the Alaknanda, which join at Devprayag to form the Ganga. It traverses through Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal below Rajmahal Hills. Now, the Yamuna, the Ramganga, and the Ghagra, the Gandak, the Kosi, the Mahananda, and the Son are the important tributaries of Ganga. Rivers Chambal and Betwa are important subtributaries which joins the Yamuna before it meets the Ganga. Now, the Padma and Brahmaputra join the Bangladesh and continue to flow as Padma or Ganga. Brahmaputra rises in Tibet, which is known as Sangpo. It crosses over the India in Arunachal Pradesh under the same name of Diang. Near Pashighat and the Bang and the Lohit join the river Brahmaputra, and the combined river runs all along the Assam Valley. It crosses into Bangladesh downstream of Dhubri. Now, the principal tributaries of Brahmaputra in India, that is Subansiri, Jia Bareli, Dhansiri, Puthimari, Pagladia, and Manas. The Barak River, the head stream of Meghna, rises in the hills of Manipur. The important tributaries of the river are Makku, Trang, Tuve, Jiri, Sonia, Rukni, Katakal, Dhaleshwari, Lakchini, Madhua, and Jatinga. Now, the Deccan rivers, these are rain-fed and therefore fluctuated in volume. Many of these are non-perennial. Most of the major river system flowing generally in the east fall into Bay of Bengal. Now, the major east flowing rivers are Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Mahanadi, Narmada, Tapi are major west flowing rivers. Now, the Godavari in the southern peninsula has the second largest river basin, covering 10% of the area of India. Now, the coastal stream, that is especially on the west coast, are the short length and have limited catchment area. Most of them are non-perennial. Now, the inland drainage, that is the stream of inland drainage basin of western Rajasthan, are few and far apart. Most of them are of an ephemeral character. These are Luni, Machu, Rupen, Saraswati, Banas, Ghagar, and others. Drainage basin. Now, the entire country has been divided into 20 river basin. Group of river basin comprising 12 major basins and 8 composite river basin. Now, the 12 major basins, that are Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Mahanadi, Pennar, Brahmani, Baitarni, Sabarmati, Mahi, Narmada, Tapti. Each of these basins has drainage area exceeding 20,000 square kilometers. Now, the 8 composite river basin, that is combined suitably together all other remaining medium drainage area of